Welcome back to Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, the Bundesliga podcast that covers everything there is to know about in the English language about Eintracht Frankfurt, the best club in the Bundesliga, or Frauen Bundesliga, the best club in Germany, the best club in Europe, the best club in the world for that matter. But we are a little bit biased, having two teams who usually can put a smile on our faces. I am your host, Brian and Casey. You can follow me on X at KCSGE. I'm not really on the gram anymore. Sorry about that, folks. You can follow us on our social media platforms. That is X at HEFpod. Hey Eintracht Frankfurt on Instagram. Or us an email. Hey Eintracht Frankfurt at gmail.com. Of course, facebook.com/HEFpod. That's kind of, we're going to get that back to being no longer dormant. Sorry about that, folks. And HEFpod.com, where all your latest Bundesliga stats can be found for your match day entertainment when you want to have that deep dive on why Eintracht is doing good or why Eintracht is doing bad. Because these days, aren't we all a bunch of statisticians? Here to talk about how stats suck balls and how we just need guts and, you know, take the glory when it comes. It's Chris in Central Michigan. I was about to say Detroit. How are
I'm
you?
all over the map, Brian. I am fantastic. I'm so happy to be talking to you again because, man, it is hard to sit in the driver's seat. I know you are literally and figuratively in the driver's seat right now. But, man,
Yep.
it is tough. I'm not going to lie. It's been a few weeks hiatus for me here. I quit my job. Awesome. Moving up bigger and better.
Yay for the unemployed!
Well, the word
Unemployed for like what?
on the Discord chat is that you're bringing me on full-time HEFpod, unless I quit my job for nothing. I thought you were paying out six figures for that.
I did not win the Mega Millions 2 weeks ago, nor did I win the Powerball less than a week ago. Just a heads up there. I did play it. I tried because I thought, hey, why not? At that point, if I had won both of them, let's put it this way, full time and we're moving, I just would have had to deal with explaining that to the missus, which I think that's a task in and of its own self.
You know, I think
when you're like, oh, hey, we're just changing countries here.
I think when she would see the check, it would all, come out even. You'd be okay.
Yeah, that would be one big check. I'd want one of those fancy cardboard cutout things, just for fun. I mean, in reality, it's just a wire transfer.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And then you got to pay tax on it. Anyways.
Now, hold on.
Crap that people around the globe won't be.
I got a question on that, on the cardboard cutouts. Did you watch the Eclipse yesterday?
I was working after being out of work for taking a week off to spend some quality family time. Did watch the Eintracht while someone was trying to sleep, because, hey, gotta have some priorities in life. As someone who saw the 2017 one, I'm okay with missing out on this one because when you work in transportation and you're still dealing with the fallout at the Baltimore Bridge, it's kind of hard to, take a couple minutes out to do that.
Yeah, I hear you. I was on the roof of my office building in Detroit. We had 99% coverage. It was kind of cool. It looked like that 9 o'clock in the summer where it's not really light, but it's not really dark. All the street lights came on. At 3 in the afternoon, I was, seeing the lights in all the office buildings. That was a really cool look. I enjoyed that one. But anyway,
yeah, out here, only 95% covered, so not as much of a distinction. But hey, you know what? I could tell that something was up. But at the end of the day, there will always be another one. And I've already seen one, and experienced one, and that was, I think, at like 99% where we were in 2017. So, anywho's enough about us having that little bit of science nerdiness to ourselves. It's time to talk Turkey or talk Eagles, Eintracht. And you would have thought that, was just going to stick that fish. Well, a little bit of Eintracht, Chris. We got another 1-1 draw with these guys. I swear to God, we draw against Bremen more often at home, and we usually get more points off them for some reason when we visit the North Sea. I don't know how to fully explain it, but at the end of the day, there was a tiny bit of me that was proud that Tuta got his goal, but another bit of me that was also proud of Tuta for not being a little bitch. And then another bit of me said, "You're an idiot."
Yeah, I'm going to put this in terms that the Eclipse people yesterday are going to understand. There was a full eclipse of my heart in this one. Just the bright shininess of coming back from behind and that Tuta goal, just a thing of beauty. And then the moon comes in and it's like, oh, that bright thing? Yeah, fuck that. You're not going to win today. I mean, when we had 10 guys, I put it in our Discord chat, and I swear I've got to be blocked from messaging during game days because I put something in the chat that said there's no doubt we're going to win this one. So what do we go down and do? The complete opposite of that.
We go down early.
I tell you what, we
go down early to a very scrappy goal, I might add. Look, Kevin Trapp, he has done wonders for us. But Kevin Trapp of 2 seasons ago, I think he's catching that ball and not pushing it out to the left, which went right in the path of Bremen to put that away. And my brain is thinking, is old Trapp saving that fully? And we still somehow, some way, maybe get a 1-0 victory. I don't know if there was enough gumption from the team if we had stopped that one, but I do fully believe that without a shadow of a doubt that Werder Bremen, if they didn't score that way, it was going to be an ugly game that everyone would say, if a tree falls in the woods, do you hear it? Does it happen because it doesn't make a sound because no one was around to hear it? I honestly look at our match and think, on the whole, that without Bremen scoring, there's a decent chance we don't score. And without a shadow of doubt, Bremen doesn't score. Because those guys couldn't, they've been pretty woeful. Not like Gladbach, to talk about other teams in the Bundesliga, but it has been a real rough go for a lot of Traditionsvereins around the Bundesliga. And we're just making our supporters, who are many in number, absolutely start tearing their hair out because we're going crazy because we can't understand why this great talent that is on the pitch that is supposed to be so great. We keep on being told this, and we've seen bits and pieces where they do look amazing, and then they just crap themselves.
But let me ask you this.
I don't understand it at times, and at other times I'm just like, you know what? I remember what I was like when I was in my early 20s, and I was, I didn't have it all together then.
Well, let's talk about this. It still feels like lineup experimentation, and a 4-4-2 shape with Chabi and Marmouche up there, and Tuta in the middle instead of outside where he's most comfortable. And I get it. There's personnel and whatever foot you're on, I don't really care. I want the best player in the best position that gives us a chance to win. And the fact that we're a week into April and we're still not set with who we are is really upsetting to me. But then it came out and looked confident. I mean, statistically, the first half, the statistics zone backs me up. We were a very quality team. I mean, at one point we were passing at 87%. For the game, we outpassed Bremen almost 2-1. Statistically, we were fine. I thought we put a little bit too much on Kevin Trapp's shoulders. Regarding your comment for the goal that was let in, I agree that a couple of years ago maybe he holds that, but also a couple of years ago he's got guys there that are going to clear that ball or make it more difficult than just a little slam dunk from the post. I'm not too upset about the one he let in because I would argue they probably could have had 2 or 3 more if he didn't make big stops. I'm not too displeased with anything except the way that we fell apart after getting the tying goal. and it goes straight to Tuta, right? I mean, is there any doubt that we were going to get a second goal until that Tuta red card in the, what was that, 89th, I think? But it's still at that point, there was still 7, 8, 9 minutes of extra time to go. I felt really good about where they were. I felt that they were the better team, maybe not perfect execution, but for a team that doesn't score a lot of goals, and I've never been confident in their ability to do so, I felt pretty good with the extra man that we had figured something out. And then that happened, and it was like, oh, hell, here we go again.
Agreed.
I just don't know. I mean, you were talking offline. You got some takes. So start throwing them at me because I don't know where to go right now.
Well, okay, I look at it from a couple standpoints. One, this is just one of those matches that's going to piss us off. We're going to say this is one of the matches that we regret not getting the full points. Yeah, you know what? This is a team that, think of how much turnover there has been in the squad. There's a lot of new faces. There's a lot of new ideas out there because Dino Topmiller. Honestly, this sounds crazy, but there's a tiny bit of me that looks at the moves that we made right out the gate, and I'm kind of wondering, like, Dino, perhaps you should have genuinely made. Then I know some people are gonna say I'm absolutely it's crazy, but did he have enough time to decide that, hey, these guys need to go, these guys need to stay? I mean, what if we had played the entire fall with only having picked up like maybe one or two guys to replace the people who had left, and then just kind of be like, all right, well, this team needs to go in this direction. We need X, Y, Z items. We'll pick up maybe we found the guy that we want to play in, your, attacking out from the right wing. We have a guy who we want to play out from the left. We have a guy who's going to hold the ball up to relief the defense. We're going to have a guy who is the the architecture of the Eintracht attack. I feel like there was so many changes at one time that it's no wonder that things have kind of turned out kind of turgid the way that they have. We're benefiting from the fact that behind us, it's been a lot of teams without firm direction. We're in a weird spot in that we've got enough talent to get us by in a lot of different situations. But what we don't have is the sort of squad cohesion and thorough match plan that has allowed the folks above us, the 5 above us, to be where they are. Now, we could say Borussia Dortmund has their own issues, same with Leipzig, and same with Bayern to a degree. But you look at Bayern Leverkusen and Stuttgart. Okay, one club, everyone's going to say, oh, plastic this, plastic that. Dortmund and Leipzig and Bayern all outspin Leverkusen. Just pointed it out. They got a guy who really knows what he's doing. They got really good squad planning. Is it hard to put all that stuff together? Oh yeah, it really is. But Chris, remind me where Stuttgart finished last season.
Very, very badly. Not right in front of me.
16th relegation playoff. They basically pulled their asses out of the fire from the relegation spots into the playoffs. Like, I think it was like the second to last match day or the last match day is how long it took for them to pull themselves into 16th. Then they hammered. Like, there were two teams from two separate leagues on display, like a Pokal match that you just had 2 rounds of, and you're like, ooh, Hamburg. Against another team, you probably would have been all right. But against the Stuttgart team, ooh boy, watch out for next season. And you thought when Stuttgart lost like 2 players, 2 of their real key players, you thought that, hey, Stuttgart's really going to struggle. I actually predicted that they would be in the relegation scrap. Shows how much I know, that they have been able to construct their themselves into a team that could finish above Bayern, and this is going to be their best season points-wise in the Bundesliga ever. Hold on. And they were literally just in the relegation playoffs.
Don't get too far ahead.
And look
because we have to do a preview in a little bit. So don't go that far down the line yet. Nah. But I'm going to put it in a little bit different context. I'm sick of draws. 43% of our matches this year in league play have ended in draws. We have 12. I just had to Google it. The most in a season, Cologne had 18. I mean, it just, I'm sorry, that was Hamburg with 18. Cologne did it too. Oh, good on the fly commentary there. But, here's my thing. We're not good enough to score goals to put ourselves in position to win matches against lower teams in the table. But we're also not bad enough to concede enough goals that we're just in a relegation chase. We are the definition of mediocre. And that is a very scary place to be because this feels like we did such a good job collecting points before Christmas that now, we just thought, hey, we'll just play pretty good and we'll be in Europe. I'm not sure we can hold on. We have a couple tough ones down the stretch. And every time we have an opportunity against a team lower in the table, we've been saying it, like 3 or 4 of the last probably 6 weeks, this is a match we should take all 3 points. I'm predicting a clean sheet. Bold-ass prediction. We score 4 today. I'm a moron. I don't know shit about soccer because I watched that team out there and I feel like I'm watching I feel like I'm watching my daughter's 8-year-old team, except the difference is they put out a consistent effort. Don't always win. They're 8. In most of the cases, I lose track of the score 5 minutes in, but the effort is there. And I'm telling you, the effort week to week right now with this group, whether it's individual players or position groups, it's just not consistent. I was pleased with the effort this time around, but that's only because I've resolved myself to the fact that we don't have any sort of attack whatsoever. So the fact that I'm pleased with, what's the count? Shots on target here, like
12.
6? Why are we even counting at this point? We've got to find a way to be better because there's enough matches left for us to get caught from behind. Augsburg is 6 points behind with 6 matches to go.
There are 3 of them. There are 3 of them. Freiburg, Hoffenheim, and Augsburg.
Yeah. If you don't think any of those teams is capable of scoring enough goals, Hoffenheim has 48 on the year. Freiburg, 40. Augsburg, 45. We're sitting on 43 in league play. So are they as bad as we are offensively? Yes. But do they have the ability to score a lot more? You're damn right they do. I'm done with the rant. I'm sick of draws. Yeah. I'm really sick of it.
Well, we've got 12 of them so far, and the other teams who have this many draws is Borussia Mönchengladbach with 10, and then you have Augsburg on 9, and then you got Borussia Dortmund on 8. And each one of those teams is in a position where, oh my gosh, you change a couple more of those results around, you're in an amazing spot. Augsburg really has changed a lot of stuff around. We still have them to play. Borussia Mönchengladbach, we could beat them. Sure, they got a victory over Wolfsburg, but holy crap, they had been we could have been them bad, where I think now they're perhaps they're officially safe. It's getting close.
I got one for you.
It's getting really close. And Borussia Dortmund can even say, hey, a couple of wins, and, well, we're not in the title race, but we're at least firmly in 4th place instead of being neck and neck with Leipzig, worrying about our Champions League place for next year, which good luck to you in your match when it does come against Madrid.
Here's
for the Bundesliga coefficient, that is.
Here's the biggest concern for me. You mentioned Gladbach with their 10 draws. Let's look at the other teams with double-digit draws in this Bundesliga season. Bochum sitting at 15. Mainz sitting at 16. Cologne sitting at 17. That's where the teams with double-digit draws end up. Because when you don't pick up 3 points, when you're the better team in a match, and you're sacrificing points, especially when they're on the road, you get screwed. You screw yourself and you end up at the bottom of the table. And we're damn lucky we picked up wins early in the season, because at this point, we're desperately scrapping to stay in that top 6. And the only reason we are is because others played stupid early in the year. Back to your point earlier about, finding your lineup and stuff like that. I am of the opinion that that's what training is for. You have 25 hours a week with guys on the pitch to work on tactics or work on formations or whatever it is you feel you want to run. Now, I get it. You can't be running full speed in match simulation for that kind of time. But what is the point of a training camp? What is the point of a winter camp if we're going to go out there and change the roster on the last day of the window, every fucking window? It makes no sense whatsoever, and it sets us back come January when we're like, oh, we just moved 3 guys. Oh, we brought 3 guys in. We got to figure out what to do with them. Oh, we're going to sell our leading scorer with 8 hours left in the window and not have time to replace him. It doesn't make sense. It's not just Dino. It's not just Marcus Kroesche. It's the whole system we're trying to do, finding these diamonds in the rough when we don't even have the right tools to find the diamonds.
Well,
I'm done being angry, I promise.
I saw. Well, I don't really think that we need to be sifting through sand to find the diamonds, but I do believe that where Eintracht is right now, it's funny that I will, after all this poo-pooing, I will say this. Anyone, some people will be like, oh, I want to turn Brian off right now. This will be a good time to press fast forward, where you can listen in. Look, we didn't have to stay up with Niko Kovac, and it could have turned out really badly if we didn't win against Bayern, but we did. And when you look at what we've been able to accomplish, we used to be so bad. Okay, did we kind of play in a way that made some people a little bit feel like there was some blood and thunder back left in the game? Yes, but you know what? This is a team that is meant to entertain, to give us joy, break our hearts at the same time, and kick us right in the down belows as well. But I look at this team from the lens of we used to be so scared of everyone else's shadow, and the sheer fact that we demand more and are suddenly in a position to expect more, it does make me happier. That makes me a hell of a lot happier than I used to be, which was mostly, oh, hey, we're up 3-0 against Stuttgart. Bremen They is beating his old team. And then we lose 4-3. Like, that's the old Eintracht that I remember with no fondness. No fondness.
But we haven't come that far.
Because, okay, you would have your bright moments, but oh my god, you had some moments where you're like, we might as well be relegated right now.
Hold on. And I agree with you.
We're able to.
I agree with you in the sense.
But we just are not. I agree with you
in the sense that we're not fighting relegation regularly. And yes, I remember the Bremen They collapses. I do. I was there when the second time around when it was going on. But my issue with that is that we've upped our game now where Europe is expected. But now, for me, it's not just good enough that we expect Europe. We have to build on it. And we were kind of spoiled by winning a Europa League championship and thinking that that's our new standard, is bringing home trophies. It's not. Our standard right now is still just qualifying for Europe. And there were times where we backed in, where it took other teams winning a match in the final seconds of the last match day of the year, where we turned our TVs off and went to get haircuts. And then you get a text, holy shit, look, we just backed our way in because somebody helped us out. I did that. But that's not what I'm here for now.
Did you do that last May Did you really do that?
No, that wasn't last year. What was the one a few years ago? Was it Stuttgart or somebody? Somebody won, and we ended up getting into Europe on like goal differential or something on the final match day. But
we got in on the final match day this past season when Wolfsburg kind of
that's not the one I'm thinking of. But either way, my point is that
remember Stuttgart.
We have to be demanding more because that expectation has been set. It's not back into Europe by getting points early and, just scraping by and saying, well, we're happy with Conference League. I'll be honest, I would rather not make Europe than be in the Conference League. Now, I get the money thing. I get European nights, developing more players. All that stuff, I get it. But I want the team to be better. And the expectation after you win Europa League, after you play in the Champions League, and we've played in Europa League multiple times in recent years. We've now played in the Champions League. Be better than the last team that you represented. I hope the 24-25 team is better than the 24-23 team, who should be better than the 23-22 team. That's where we just have to set the be better than the last team standard and stick with it. Otherwise, what are we going out there for? If we go out at the beginning of next season and we say, well, the goal is to hopefully make Europe again, why are we even going out? Why are we playing? That's been our goal. The goal needs to be raised. I'm sorry. I am highly caffeinated today. So
you're ready to make the jump up.
Yes.
You're ready
Let's run through walls.
Jump up. I am too. Okay, let's not exactly do that, because then you're just going to have that moment where, movable object meets movable object, and you run into it, and then you break your face. But, anywho's, we have talked ad nauseum about Eintracht in the last match. Chris, I think it's time for hashtag what are we drinking? I think this discussion has given everybody reason to drink. So what should they be drinking? Or what would you recommend for them to be drinking?
I brought 3 drinks to the party today. I mentioned I'm highly caffeinated. Tim Hortons, the Canada's greatest export. Forget hockey, forget Wayne Gretzky. Tim Hortons is Canada's greatest export and my guilty pleasure after a long day at work. I got a couple beers that I brought for the Eclipse before I remembered I'm actually working that day, so I never got to enjoy them. But I got, oops. I mean, would they have really noticed if I was drinking at work? I don't know. I was quitting anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, I was about to say, they might not
that'd be a hell of a way to go out, actually. Anyway, from Upper Hand Brewing, up in the UP in Escanaba, I got their Skywatcher, which is really cool. Black IPA beer for the occasion.
Love the UP.
And then I've got, from Bell's, a Oberon Eclipse, which is like their winter dark version of the classic spring Oberon. So, yeah, I'm rocking 3 different beverages here, and depending on how happy you keep me during this episode, that'll change which one I'm drinking.
All right, I'll leave that to the all of our interests for hashtag what are we drinking, because goodness me, you went above and beyond on that
Full
one.
rants today.
I can't really say much as to someone who I haven't done. Well, look, I've only just kicked sobriety, so if anyone's just like, well, that's a weird way to put it. No, I opened it up with some Posman. Nothing really more Hessian than a good old glass of Posman. So if you need trouble getting a hold of it, I know a guy who knows a guy who got it for me. Just be patient. Message me, social media platforms. And so, Chris, that's going to wrap it up on this aspect of the podcast. Let's push right on through to what normally would be my favorite part to talk about, which was Frauen Corner, but you guys have kind of shanghaied it because you started doing, who played what match and blah, blah, blah. But the ladies aren't doing anything right now, so what should we think about when it does come to the ladies who we've not talked about until now?
I like to keep the energy separate between the two sides of the building, because I don't like when negativity slips over into the women's side of the building. But it has a little bit with Eintracht Frankfurt being knocked out of the Frauen Pokal by Bayern in a well-played match, just not the right day. But, they're coming back. I really think there's an opportunity when the Frauen return to pick up points, currently sitting fourth in the table and behind Hoffenheim by 1 point. And that's what we need to get back to where we were last year. I'm kind of in this frame of mind where, like I said on the men's side, you don't want to slip back to old habits. This Frauen team has enough quality on it. They should be finishing top 3. I'm going to be really disappointed if they don't. So we got 4 matches left to pick up. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at math. We got 5 matches left to pick up the points over Hoffenheim and take the lead. And it all starts this weekend. Very interesting matchup this weekend against Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know what to expect, but I expect more goals. I think a 3-2 victory would be appropriate. Laura Fraging is out. She injured her arm, and that's a concern. But I think we have enough firepower to overcome that.
Well, here's the question then I have to think about, because when it comes to Laura Fraging, there, to me, is no better player within the team. Are you expecting that it's going to be a team-wide effort in terms of overcoming her being gone, or is it really just, hey, you know what, just because she's gone does not mean that Presnikar is not going to pump the goals into the back of the net?
Well, look, the last few years, this team succeeded when Laura Fraging was hot, and they failed when she was cold. There's a little bit more balance now in the offense, and I think Nicole Aniomi, who came on at the end of last year and has been extraordinary all year this year, the offensive production really is based on how she's doing now. But it also has a lot to do with Laura Presnikar feeding her. I still maintain that Shakira Martinez needs a bigger role. Barbara Dunst doing all of the feeding from the back to the front. Everything just kind of has to come together. And we're getting goals from Reuteler and others that gives me confidence that we can overcome being without Fraging. Not that it's going to be easy, but it can be done.
Well, ladies, you know what to do. Honestly, you can't look at it. You need to look at every single match as must win, because you drop points in the intervening matches ahead of the Eintracht versus Hoffenheim away match. Yes, there is an away match, so that's a little bit of a sting. But honestly, you drop any points before that, you might not still be able to catch up. So you literally need 15 points from your last 5 matches to guarantee that your team is going to be in 3rd place and going into Europe for the next season. And then you're able to look at it from the standpoint of, hey, we can proceed on with the growing team that we have. Because this is still a reasonably young team. It's not a super young team anymore.
Now,
we're kind of looking for a finished article to, in my opinion, I'm looking for the finished article to start occurring. And this season, I think the trickiness of managing 6 home and away matches with Europe has caused the coach to, he's trying to balance everything out, and you need to just focus on what's at hand. And that's, play well in Europe and European qualification. And I honestly would have taken my eye off the ball when it came to the Frauen Pokal, which doesn't lead to qualification for anything, unlike the men's game, which I think perhaps with a bigger expansion of the Ladies Champions League, I think that is something that they may in the future take advantage of. But we will see what we will see. But I'm starting to be of the mindset that if we do not qualify for Europe, do we make a change in the head trainer position?
I would ask if you're talking about the men's or women's side, because my answer to both would be yes. Dead honest answer. The answer to that is yes. The expectation was set that you improve. And if you don't improve, you better be at least where you were last year. And if you fall backwards, that's just unacceptable, no matter what team you coach, no matter what the sport is. A last note on what's happening around the league. As we talked about Hoffenheim being a point ahead of us, we've got them on match day 19. And then they also have Bayern on the last match day of the season. The reason they're where they are right now is because Hoffenheim beat Wolfsburg the last match day out, and they beat them having picked up a red card, being down a person. So certainly that's
wow.
They're good enough to beat Wolfsburg, who's the gold standard right now, but then also at the same time they've got a tough finish. So, I shouldn't say they're the gold standard. Bayern is definitely that, being undefeated in league play. But as far as Nico out, I've seen development of players that tells me he's a good leader of players. But if he's the right person to get this group to that next step, I'm not so sure. And I think I'll reserve that for people that are better at making those evaluations. I would be okay if he returned, assuming we finish third. But certainly if we regress and end up fourth, he can pack his bags.
All right. Well, I'm still a little bit on the fence when it comes to if we don't qualify for Europe. And you're kind of selling me on, hey, Europe is now the expectation.
Well,
made it 2 seasons in a row, trying to make it third so you can make that next step. And yeah, that's how this club will grow into being the champions of Germany, which I do expect this club to reach that pinnacle within the next 2 seasons. Yeah. Everything's there to make it happen. It just needs to happen. Now, I will point because he can set up the tactics and everything else, and he needs to, like you said, be good as a player's coach in terms of developing them as a team. But you know what? The United States used to, at the women's national team, one of their managers had said, hey, you need to have a team that gels well together. Well, you know what? If you don't have the right tactics, you kind of look disjointed and look like crap when it comes down to playing against Brazil in a World Cup semifinal, and then you get bounced out of that stage instead of, being bounced out by the eventual world champions, Germany, as I'm referencing the women's national team of the United States for a couple of years that they did have. And that's where I feel that he is now. It's, hey, bud, you're supposed to be developing this team. Everything is there, and I haven't seen enough from him to make that decision that he is going to stay around just yet. It honestly hinges on third place.
As we talk about, leaving jobs and such, as I'm in the process of doing, if I regress in my production at my job or you at your job, people are going to start asking questions, right? You've maintained what you've done, but now you've gone back. You're not selling as much, or whatever industry you're in. If you don't do as good this year as you did last year, people are going to ask questions. And I think it's fair that the question is asked right now, because he's not new to this group. It's not 1 or 2 years. He's been there a bit now. So the question is fair to ask, but I also think, like on the men's side, it's incomplete. There's still enough of the season left where at least achieving equal result to last year is possible. So I'm not yet ready to say it.
All right. Well, I think you have you put it where everyone is thinking. You are the mindset that, hey, you got us. Nico, has kind of put us in a position where, and he has been in charge of the team for a very long time. He's helped it kind of mature and everything else. But the fact of the matter is, we still get to win anything. We haven't won a Bundesliga title. We haven't won a Pokal. Eventually, you just need to come to the point that, hey, we've grown and developed. Could be that you've taken us as far as you are capable of taking this team. And there's nothing wrong with being able to say that, because that shows that he is able to incrementally grow a team. The thing is, eventually, where is it going to grow to? And we would have thought that, German championship of one of the two competitions will be happening. I think European championship is a very long ways away, considering the fact that, no German team has won it in a very long time. But then again, we have seen what the pinnacle is. We have seen what that pinnacle is with Barcelona, and that is what I want us to be at. We just are definitely not there yet. It'll take time for us to get there. We can get there ourselves. I just think that it's going to take more than just a couple of seasons for us to become European champions, but we are in a position where we are able to be a German champion in either the Pokal or League, and we're definitely not winning either this season.
And we know that. So maybe that's a good spot to be in, where with 5 weeks left, we can refocus and say no other competitions to worry about coming off the final break of the year. Let's just maintain our focus and try to get back to the Champions League, because that's the ultimate goal. And you're going to have to go through the qualification round all over again, but you know what? It is what it is.
But it could be different. It could be totally different with this slight altering of formats. True. We will see what we will see when that's kind of more, when they kind of more disclose details about that. But hey, let's look at what is ahead for the men, shall we? We already mentioned who it is. It's Stuttgart. It's away to Stuttgart. It's away to the Swabians, who at this point, in case anyone's wondering when we're recording this, this is the Tuesday when Bayern has already had a 2-2 draw away in London. Quite impressed by the result. I've actually not seen any of the stats or anything minus the scoreline. But the fact is, and I mentioned it, Stuttgart is, maybe I hadn't mentioned it. Stuttgart is currently level on points with Bayern. They're on pace to and have set the record for most points earned in any season, and they have multiple German championships to their name. They have gone from 16th place to an all but Champions League qualified team in the blink of an eye. And I look at this match as I will be surprised if we get anything more than a defeat here. I think that the way that Stuttgart plays, and they have multiple weapons to really just rip everyone else apart. Oh yeah, they went to Dortmund and won at the weekend. Garassi, he's a great player. We saw it when we played them in the Pokal semifinal, and I suddenly realized this is not a team that should be in the relegation playoff. This should be a decent team, but I thought that their off-season moves would change them. So wrong was I. And yeah, Honus, who's in charge over there, has made that team into something that fights, something that works hard, something that is set out tactically to be able to harass so many teams. Undav, Furish, Milo, Karazor, all these guys, all these players that are on their team, they have multiple members of the Stuttgart team on the German national team that suddenly is looking better somehow, some way, under Julian Nagelsmann. And, I look at this match, and this screams Eintracht 0, Stuttgart 2.
Yeah, I was trying to look for some stats that make me think positively, but it's just tough right now. I mean, if I look at anything, it's the fact that Stuttgart's offensive prowess has actually gone down in recent time. Their last 6 matches, they're only averaging 2.17 goals a game, compared to 2.4 the remainder of the year. But then there's us. We couldn't score. I'm not supposed to make dirty jokes. We can't score. That's just the long and the short of it. We can't score. So any points that come out of this are going to be those, hey, we got to remind Chris that he's really bad at commentating on Bundesliga play, and then we go out and win 4-1. But I'm with you. I just don't think that's going to happen. Stuttgart is having a magical year. It's just crazy the turnaround they've had. And when we talk about improvement from year to year, hell, I would love to luck my way into one of those top 3, top 4 finishes. My whole objective isn't to win the Bundesliga. is to qualify through the league for a Champions League. I don't think that's unreasonable, but getting a win against Stuttgart this weekend is very unreasonable. As far as putting a point on it, I'm going to take the over in this one just because looking at the under, we're looking at 2.5 goals. I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to say that there's 4 goals, but we're on the short side 3-1. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think it might be late. We might try to chase a tying goal and then give one up on a counter. But 3-1, and all hats off to Stuttgart because they're doing it the right way.
Indeed. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Hey Eintracht Frankfurt. I'd like to thank Chris for joining me. Chris, where can we find you on social media landscape?
Let's start with Peloton because Tina out there in Frankfurt is absolutely dominating me on the bike. Awesome work by Tina. Listens to our show, and she does like 3 hours of Pelotoning a day. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Anyway, so Peloton, Instagram, Discord, X, Twitter, whatever we call it, at C&D313, HEFpod.com. We got a couple new submissions for watch parties. We'll put those on there. And, of course, I will be updating that this week, unlike last couple weeks when it's been very busy. So check out HEFpod.com for live match stats when you can't watch, when you're in the car like Brian's been all day, or you're on the go like I am 3 hours a day. Check out HEFpod.com and the statistics zone where you can keep track of live scores.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter or X at KCSGE, at HEFpod, Hey Eintracht Frankfurt at gmail.com, and of course, Hey Eintracht Frankfurt on the gram. So from all of us here at Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, choose!
Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, la 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 la. Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, la 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 la.